So before we speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, my revered spiritual master, he gave me instruction. He told me that before you speak on Bhagavatam, you should offer prayers to the Bhagavatam. Because in Chaitanya Charitamrita it said that Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarvashre Prati Shloki Prati Akshri Nanarta Koi. That just as Krishna is Vibhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so also Srimad Bhagavatam. So just as we offer prayers to Krishna, we also offer prayers to Srimad Bhagavatam. So this takes about 5 minutes. If you know some of these verses, please recite with me. Narayanam namaskrityam naramschaiva narotamam Devyam sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudidayat Vedi ramayaneschaiva purane bharate tata Adavante chamadye chahari sarvatra giyate Mukam karodi vachalam bhangum langayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande shri gurum dinataranam Paramananda madhavam. This is a traditional song that they sing in the Bhagavat Tungis, or the small houses they traditionally have in Orissa in the villages where they recite Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Paramananda he madhava Padunga luchi makaranda Se makaranda panakori Anande bolo hari hari Harinka name vandavela Parikori be chakadola Se chakadolanka paraye Manamo rahu nirantare Manamo nirantare rahu Ha Krishna boli jiva jao Ha Krishna boli jao jiva Moteu dada rada dava Moteu dada rada dava Moteu dada rada dava Dharma projita kaita vota paramo nimatsranam satam Vedyam vastavamatta vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune kate kimva padayishvara Sadyo hridyavarudyate takatibishu shubhistakshanath Nigamakopa taro galitam phalam shukamukaramitra samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam mahuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka Anarto pasamam sakshat bhakti-yoga madhoksaje Lokasya janato vidvam shakre satvata samhitam Yasham vaishyamanayam krishne paramapurushe Bhaktirudpadyate pumsa shoka moha bhayapaha Srimad Bhagavatam Paranamamalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsamekam Amalam Gyanam Param Giyate Tatra Gyana Vairagya Bhakti Sahitam Naiskarmyam Aviskritam Tachchinvan Supaten Vicharana Paro Bhakcha Vumuchin Naraha Arto Yam Brahmasutranam Bharatartha Vinirnaya Gayatri Bhasharupo So Vedartha Paribrimita Sarva Vedete Hasanam Sadam Sadam Samuditam Sadamu Sarva Vedanta Sadam Hi Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyate Tadrasamrita Triptasya Nanyatya Svedvachi Kuchit Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup Shri Bhagavata Tate Veda Shashahoite Parama Mahatma Chari Veda Upanishade Jata Kichu Hoya Tara Arta Ranavyasa Korila Sanchaya Jehi Sutre Jeru Vishaya Vachana Bhagavate Seru Slokani Bandana Vivera Nistara Lagi Suta Koilo Vyasa Mayavadi Vashishunile Oya Sarvanasha Jaho Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavirastane Ekanta Shayakara Chaitanya Charane Bhagavata Jaina Mane Sejavana Sama Tada Sasta Ache Janme Janme Prabhu Jama Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, the king of all literatures, Canto 7, Chapter 9, which is entitled Prahlad Pacifies the Lord with Prayers, and today we're reading text number 6. Please repeat after me. Satat Kara Sparsha Duta Kila Subha Satat Kara Sparsha Duta Kila Subha Sapadya Vivyakta Paratma Darshana Sapadya Vivyakta Paratma Darshana Tatpada Padmam Hridinibrito Dado Tatpada Padmam Hridinibrito Dado Rishyat Tanu Klina Hrid Ashulochana Rishyatanu Klina Hrid Ashulochana Others? Saha He Prahlad Maharaj Tat Karasparsha because of being touched on the head by the lotus hand of Nrsingadev. Duta, being cleansed. Akila, all. Ashubha, inauspiciousness or material desires. Sapadi, immediately. Abhivyakta, manifested. Para Atma Darshana, realization of the Supreme Soul, spiritual knowledge. Tatpada Padmam, Lord Nrsingadev's lotus feet. Hridi, within the core of the heart. Nibrita, full of transcendental bliss. Dado, captured. Hrishyatanu, having transcendental ecstatic bliss manifested in the body. Klinarit, whose heart was softened due to transcendental ecstasy. Ashrulochana, with tears in his eyes. Translation: By the touch of Lord Nrsingadev's hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contaminations and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendentally situated, and all the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body. His heart filled with love, and his eyes with tears, and thus he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. Please repeat. By the touch of Lord Nrsingadev's hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contaminations and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendentally situated, and all the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body. His heart filled with love, and his eyes with tears. And thus he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. Can you get an asana for Kavi Chandramas? Thanks. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita 14:26, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti-yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitam brahma bhuyaya kolpate. Quote, one who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Elsewhere in Bhagavad-Gita 9:23, the Lord says, Mam hi partha vyapasritya ye pishu papayonaya striyo vaishyastata sudras te piyanti param gatim. Quote, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Sudras workers, can approach the supreme destination. End of quote. On the strength of these verses from Bhagavad-Gita, it is evident that although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family, and all the virtually demoniac blood flowed within his body, he was cleansed of all material bodily contamination because of his exalted position as a devotee. In other words, such impediments on the spiritual path could not stop him from progressing, for he was directly in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are physically and mentally contaminated by atheism cannot be situated on the transcendental platform. But as soon as one is freed from material contamination, he's immediately fit to be situated in devotional service. Gora graganya gana gotra goloduharam Goranga gura tamagopyada kopa briksham Gopala gada ratidam yati singha gora Govinda deshi kavaram satatam namami. So, I want to thank the devotees very much for asking us to share something of Srimad Bhagavatam with you today. This is a very, very special temple and a very, very special assembly. Please forgive me for my shortcomings and bless me that we can say something for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. So, whenever we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we should consider, what is Krishna saying to me? It's not just an academic pursuit that I want to memorize something so I can pass my Bhakti Shastri examination with the best grades. It's not just some memorization, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is a person. And the Bhagavatam will speak to us if we listen. So we should always consider, what relevance, what is he saying to me? So what pertinence does this have, this verse and purport have to us today? Several points are here, any one of which we could speak on for a long time, very important topics. One of which is very relevant for most of us here in the room today, and that is that Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family. And as Prabhupada says in the purport, he literally had demoniac blood flowing in his body. So this is a topic. I was just listening to some of the 1972 Nectar Devotion lectures Prabhupada gave at the Radha Damodar temple here in Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada spoke extensively on this in one of the lectures, and he said, how is it that we enter Vrindavan? Who is a resident of Vrindavan? Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to tell us that Kamsa, he's not the Brijbasi. But Kamsa is born in Braj. You know, Putana is also born in Braj. I once went to Putana's village. We had darshan of her Janmastan. But they're not Brijbasis. We don't consider them to be. And Prabhupada explained, what does it mean to enter Vrindavan? What does it mean to be a Brijbasi? It means that sarvupadi vinirmuktam, that you give up all these different upadis. You don't judge. This is an Indian Vaishnav. This is a Western Vaishnav. This is a Russian Vaishnav. This is a high-class Vaishnav because he's older or younger. There's systems of respect given in Mano Sanghita and different Dharma Shastras that we give respect due to age, according to Sudras, according to the Vaishyas. We give respect by someone who has lots of money, they're good at making money. We give respect to the Kshatriyas by dint of their power. We give respect to Brahmins by dint of their knowledge. But all of these things are secondary. All of these things are gona in comparison with the respect that we give to Krishna Bhakti. In his wonderful song, Vaishnav Sarna, the poet Devaki Nandan Das, he sings, Jai Deshe, Baise, Gaurangera Gan, Urdhva Bahu Kori Vandon Sabhara Charan. Jai Desi, Baisi, Gaurangera Gan, Urdhva Bahu Kori Vandon Sabhara Charan. Urdhva Bahu means with two hands in the air. It means I'm declaring to everybody, please pay attention. He says, Jai Desi, Baisi, Gaurangiragan. To all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jai Desi, Baisi, wherever they may have taken birth, in South India, in Bangladesh, in America, in Russia, in China, wherever they may have taken birth, Sabhara Charan, I want the lotus feet of all those devotees on my head. And he says that Jai Desi, Baisi, Gaurangeragan, Urdhva Bahu Kori Vandon Sabhara Charan, Hoi Chena, Hoi Bena, that I give my respect to all the devotees, Hoi Chena, and all the devotees in the past, all the devotees in the future, Hoi Chena, Hoi Bena, Prabhu Jeta Das, Sabhara Charana Vandon Dante Kori Gash. Withdrawn my teeth, I worship all those devotees, all the devotees in the past, all the devotees in the future. Another meaning is there, according to the grammar, that all the persons who used to be devotees, but they're not anymore. He was a devotee for 2 weeks. He was in the temple chanting, wow, what a wonderful, exalted, special person. He was a devotee for 2 weeks. We should give respect to them. And all the people, Hoi Bena, who are going to become devotees. Well, that means everybody. Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat, when he tells a story about Bhrigu Muni and how he was testing the different deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, to see who was supreme. We know how he tested Brahma and Shiva, and then he went to Lord Vishnu and he kicked him on the chest. Lakshmi Devi wasn't very happy about that, and she cursed the Brahmins at that point. And Vrindavan Das Thakur says some very interesting things which are not found in the Bhagavatam description of this pastime. Vrindavan Das says that actually Bhrigu Muni was a devotee and he wasn't committing an offense. He was kicking the Lord to glorify the Lord. How is that? He was kicking the Lord to show how tolerant the Lord is and how much more exalted the Lord is in comparison to Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma. So then he raises a question. Well, if you say that, if someone may be a devotee who comes and kicks the Lord, how do you tell who's a devotee and who's not a devotee? And Vrindavan Das Thakur says that's a very difficult thing. He says, but I have a very simple solution to that problem. You just treat everybody like they're a devotee. We give respect to everyone. But that doesn't mean that we give the same kind of respect to a sannyasi who's traveling and preaching and pushing on Prabhupada's movement that we do to some atheistic person we meet on the street. That would be an offense. But still, we try to see everyone as a devotee. We look for the good in everybody. So, this pastime describes how Prahlad Maharaj was a demon, but he received darshan of the Lord. And because he received more than just darshan, this verse describes that satat kara sparsha, he was touched on the head by Lord Nrsingadev. Because of that, Prahlad Maharaj is a very, very exalted person. And we shouldn't consider that he's born in a low-class family. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he speaks about this. I'll sing some verses. It'd be nice if there's somebody to play mridanga. And you can chant Hare Krishna in response. Adhamma kulete jare Vishnu bhakta hoy, Tatapi se puja sarva shastri koi. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Adhamma kulete. The kula that you're born in may be Adhamma kula, may be a very, very low class kula, low class family. But jadi means if. Adhamma kulete jadi Vishnu bhakti hoy. If that person becomes a devotee of the Lord, tatapi sei puja sarva shastri koi. Sarva shastri koi, all the shastras say that person is worthy of your worship. Chandala o moha sharana jadi loy. Say hamora munita jani hanischoy. Bolo Hare Krishna. Krishna says someone may be a chandala. But he says if that person surrenders to me, he belongs to me. Sometimes devotees, they become angry with the GBC, or with some Prabhupada disciples. And let's be honest, sometimes there may be some reason to feel a little unhappy. But we should always remember, those devotees, they belong to Srila Prabhupada. And they may have made some mistakes, just like one devotee we know of who made some mistakes, Kirtanananda. Prabhupada gave him sannyas here in Vrindavan. And Kirtanananda asked a funny question from Prabhupada. Then he said, can I have a certificate of sannyas? Prabhupada said, there's no necessity for a certificate. No, I'd like a document, please. Okay. Prabhupada gave him a document. Prabhupada gave him some money. Prabhupada said, now you go, buy a ticket and go to London and open a center there. Now you're a sannyasi. But he disobeyed Srila Prabhupada. And he took the money and the proclamation, and he went back to New York, and he told all the devotees, he showed them the proclamation. Now, I'm a Swami, and you should all listen to me. And he started telling them some unusual things. Don't shave your head and keep sikas, don't wear dhoti and kurta, don't wear tilak. People can't relate to this. And the devotees became angry with him. There were some bad feelings. And he ended up leaving the temple. And he had some spiritual difficulties. Later on, he came to see Srila Prabhupada in Canada. And Hare Krishna, it's not for me to judge, but it seems that he'd committed some big offense. But when he came to Prabhupada, Prabhupada started crying. And Prabhupada embraced him and said, "You're always very dear to me." Prabhupada made these devotees. So we don't have a right to judge them, just as we don't have a right to judge Prahlad Maharaj or someone else. This business of judging is a very, very detrimental activity for our bhakti. Don't try to judge where other people are at. Don't try to think, oh, he gave a nice class, but I could have done better. It was okay, but he didn't quote so many verses. If we get in that kind of judgment mentality, then we start becoming proud and thinking, I'm better than this person in this way or that way. And moreover, we may lose the benefit of associating with a great Vaishnava. Because as Vrindavan Das Thakur describes in this section of the Chaitanya Bhagavat, you can't understand who's a devotee and who's not a devotee. And he gives some wonderful examples. Vrindavanara gopet kitapa koila bhala deki tara mori ke mate paila haribo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Asure otapa kore ki hoya taha Dini mora saran loye nahi par bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He says, tell me, what high birth did Gajendra have? He was an elephant. But he was offering prayers to the Lord, and the Lord came, Lord Vishnu came and rescued him from the crocodile. He said, Vanara, what about the monkeys of Lord Ramachandra? They didn't have second initiation. They never passed Bhakti Shastri examination. But they were associating with the Lord. He said, Gope, what about the cowherd people of Braj? They don't look like very high-class Brahmins and people. They're not so learned in Shastra. What did they do, Krishna said, to attain me? He said, Asure Utapakori, even the demons, they do austerities. Big deal. Who cares that you've done some austerity? What's the result of that? He said, unless they take shelter of me, they can't be delivered. So an interesting point in this purport and verse also is that Prahlad Maharaj, he had direct darshan of the Lord. But implied in this verse and purport, he still wasn't purified completely. That's a very interesting thing, isn't it? Although he directly had darshan of the Lord, he still wasn't completely purified. The verse very clearly describes Satatkara Sparsha, that when Lord Nrsimhadev put his hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, at that time, all the ashubha, all the inauspicious things, they went away. There was still some inauspicious things there. We should contemplate on this. It's not enough just to have darshan of the Lord. How many of us really, we can look in our hearts, do we really want darshan of the Lord? Sometimes I ask devotees a question. I say, what would you do if someone came running in the room right now and said, Dharmatma Prabhu, oh my God, you're not going to believe this, but Krishna's just waiting behind the altar and he wants to talk to you. He wants to see you. What are you going to do? I've asked this question in many, many different countries around the world, and I've seen a lot of blank faces. And that's an interesting thing. Why should we have a blank face? Because I never thought about that. Well, aren't we supposed to think about that? Isn't that what we want? Don't we want to see the Lord? And then what am I going to do? Oh, he asks that question sometimes. Then what are you going to? You're going to go and see him and say, yo, how's it going? How's the weather in Vrindavan? How are them gopis, huh? What are you going to say to him? Personally, when I answer this question myself, I say I won't go. I say, I can't. I have no qualification. But I want to take my spiritual master and put him in front of me. And then I can go. Otherwise, without my Guru Maharaj, what am I going to do? With Krishna, I'm going to shake his hand. Yeah, nice to meet you. And even Prahlad Maharaj had this problem. Even Dhruva Maharaj had this problem. Although Dhruva Maharaj had direct darshan of the Lord, he didn't know what to say. And so finally Lord Vishnu put his conch shell on the head of Dhruva Maharaj, and he blessed him with transcendental knowledge. So merely having darshan of the Lord in and of itself is also not enough. This is also discussed by Srila Prabhupada in a nice way, a very beautiful purport in the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam, which is also very relevant for our visit to Vrindavan. Prabhupada says there are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in Vrindavan, in ecstasy in search of Krishna and his childhood pastimes. He said there's still many devotees staying in Vrindavan who are searching for Krishna in great ecstasy and his pastimes, and his childhood associates, the gopis. It is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in that tract of land, but a devotee's eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as his seeing him personally. That's very interesting. It's not that such devotees necessarily meet Krishna face to face, but Prabhupada says a devotee's eager search for Krishna is as good as his seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, so don't ask. But it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him at Vrindavan in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. What an amazing statement. I want to read that again, okay? Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him at Vrindavan in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment. So in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur gives some interesting descriptions about the darshan of the Lord. Vishwarupa Thoma Dekila Duryodan Jaha Deki Bari Vedi Kodi Andeshan Bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Vishwarupa Thomara Dekila Duryodan saw your Vishwarup, the universal form, that same form which so many people, they study the Vedas, so many people practice yoga to see that form of the Vishwarup. Duryodhan got to see it. But what was the result? Dekiya o samang se marila Duryodhan napaila sukha bhakti shunyara karan bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Dekila o savangse. Although he saw Krishna, he saw Krishna's Virat Rup, Duryodhan along with his Vangsa, all of them, Marila, they were all destroyed. What was the benefit? Napaila Suk, Duryodhan didn't get any happiness. Although he personally saw Krishna, he didn't get any happiness. Because bhakti sunyara karana. He was devoid of bhakti. Prahlad Maharaj had bhakti before he had darshan of the Lord. But there was some special bhakti imbued to him at the time when Lord Nrsimhadev put his hand on his head And Prahlad Maharaj, it's described in this verse that Ashru Lochana, he began to cry in ecstasy, and all the different ecstatic symptoms manifested in his body. He manifested Krishna Prem at that time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's describing this things, and he goes on in another verse. Rajakeo dekila magila taratani Chatkapi vanchita hoila jate premanani bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He says, the washerman in Mathura, when Krishna entered into Mathura, the washerman got to see me. And Krishna gave him so much mercy. Krishna came to him and said, I'd like what you have. Please give that to me. What a special benediction from the Lord. But that washerman couldn't appreciate Krishna. And he didn't give anything to him. Amade ki bhari se kota tapa kaila Kota koti deha se raja ke chadila bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hari leka mahabhagye mora darshan Na paila sukha bhakti sunya rakaran bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Bhakti Shunya Jani Mui Nakori Prasad Mora Darshana Sukha Tara Hoy Bad Bolo. Hare Krishna. He says that washerman was not an ordinary person. Obviously, to be able to have the darshan of the Lord, it's not a small thing. And Krishna Mahaprabhu said, that washerman performed austerities for millions of lifetimes. Koti koti janma. To be able to have my darshan, to be able to see me. But even though he had that good fortune, paileka mahabhagye mora darshan, he had that good fortune to get my darshan. Na paila suk. He didn't have any happiness. Bhakti sunyara karan. Because he had no bhakti. Thinking about this, I think of my own situation. And how I'm also having darshan of Krishna every day. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that before we chant our japa, we should recite one verse, one prayer, which is from the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. Ajata paksha iva mataram kagastanyam yata vatsatarakshudarta priyam priyeva vyusitam vishana manora vindaksha didikshate tvam. The purport of this verse is, my Lord, I want to see you. And how badly do I want to see you? Ajata paksha iva mataram kaga. Ajata paksha, just like a baby bird who can't fly yet. He's very high up in a tree, in a small nest. And how bad that baby bird wants to see his mother. If he doesn't see his mother, he's going to die. With that same intensity, I want to see you. Ajata paksha iva mataram kaga stanyam yata vatsatarakshudartaha. In the same way that a baby calf, if you've ever go and watch them milk the cows, the gwalas, the cowherd men first, they bring the small calf and they let it drink some from the mother. And those calves are so very eager. And then usually they tie the calf up somewhere near the mother so the mother's happy. That calf is so very, very eager, so intense to get that milk. With that same kind of intensity, I want to see you. Priyam priyeva vyusitam vishana. In the same way that a woman whose husband is gone on a long journey and she hasn't seen him in many weeks, in the same way that her heart is burning, she wants to see her beloved. In the same way, manora vindaksha didikshate tvam. In the same way, my Lord, I want to see you. And we directly have that darshan of the Lord by chanting Krishna Nam. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani, he says that Name Prasutita Hoy Rupa Guna Karma. That from the holy name blossoms Rup, Guna, and Karma. By chanting, we'll directly see Krishna, His Rup, His form. His Guna will realize His wonderful sweetness and qualities. And Karma will see the Leelas of Krishna all packed in to this holy name of the Lord. There's one of those lectures we were listening to recently. I wanted to read something to you from. This was on the 31st of October, 1972, here in Vrindavan. Prabhupada's Nectar Devotion Series lectures. If you don't ever listen to any lectures of Srila Prabhupada, at least you should listen to these Nectar Devotion lectures. They're some of the most wonderful nectarian lectures in the world. So Prabhupada said, Krishna Nama Rupi Avatar. Krishna's come in the form of His name. So we should respect the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra with great care, great caution. We should not be with carefulness, so that we may not commit any offense. Then your business is successful. Nam nad balad yashahi papa budhi. This is the sixth offense to the holy name. Is that right? Seventh offense to the holy name. That someone thinks that someone commits sin on the strength of chanting. Prabhupada says, if someone thinks, I'm living in Vrindavan, I'm chanting Hare Krishna mantra, so if I do something sinful, what will it do? Prabhupada said, but a little sin may be excused if it is not done willingly. But if you commit sinful activities willingly, daily, then you'll be punished. That is the law of nature. Even if you're a bhakta, you'll be given a chance, but you'll have to be punished. So therefore, we must be very careful. We're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. It means dealing with Krishna directly. Such a beautiful statement. We're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. We should be very careful, because when we're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, it means we're dealing with Krishna directly. Therefore, we must be very careful, cautious, respectful. Then it is nice. Then it'll be a success. Bhakti-Vigan Maharaj told a nice story. I heard that some years ago he met an elderly disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who's since passed away. And that devotee, when he was a young boy, he was taken to meet Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just a little boy. And he came to see Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he's a little boy. And he came in, there was a garden, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was sitting and chanting japa. And this little boy, he came in, and later he became this disciple Bhaktisiddhanta. And he remembered that occasion in this way. He said that I came in and I saw this old dadu, this old man, and I became disturbed because he was calling for someone. He was calling very intensely. He was sitting in front of a bush and he was calling to someone, and he kept calling and calling, and I was thinking, why isn't that person coming? He's an old dadu. That person should come. They should come. Why aren't they coming? He's calling them. That was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's japa. That should be the type of japa that we chant. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's instructed us, Premadana Vina Vyarta, Daruja Jivan, Dasa Kori Veta Mori Deha Premadan. My dear Lord, please give me this Krishna prem. Daruja Jivan. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati comments on this verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that Mahaprabhu is not saying that I'm Daridra Narayan, I'm poor Narayan. He's saying, Ami Daridra Jivan. I'm a poor soul. My life is very poor. Daridra Jivan. Dasa Kori. So please make me your servant. And Vetan Mori, I want a salary. I'm not going to work for you for free. Why are we working so hard for Srila Prabhupada? Once one senior devotee told me, anyway, we don't worry about Krishna Prem and all those things. We just work hard for Prabhupada. That's nice. That's a nice attitude. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that Vetan More, I want some payment. I want something. Otherwise, I'm just a dull person. Why am I here? Veta Mori, Deha. Deha, you give me. Deha Prema Dana. I want Krishna Prem. This is a valuable thing that I want. And this is some of the lessons that we learn from this verse. The Prahlad Maharaj, he had direct darshan of the Lord, but that wasn't complete until the Lord put his hand on Prahlad's head. We should want the Lord's hand on our head. We should want Srila Prabhupada's hand on our head. Many years ago, I had some realization after being in ISKCON for 10 years or so that I wanted a guru. And I went and I was speaking to some very senior devotees, and I revealed my heart to them. And they told me, don't do that. You just take Prabhupada. Because you know, all these gurus, there's been a lot of problems. And you don't know what's going to happen. You just take shelter of Prabhupada. And they went on, there was 3 very senior disciples of Prabhupada, and they were all preaching to me for about an hour in a room. I'm very senior. I couldn't say anything. I'm just a little devotee. I was very quiet. After an hour, finally, one of them said, well, what do you think? I said, well, I appreciate your concern for me. And I had a guru before he went away, and I don't want to go through that again. But I have to tell you, for 7 years, I've been taking shelter of Prabhupada, and I'm not satisfied. I've been reading Prabhupada's books, I've been distributing books, I've been going to the morning program, I've been doing everything, but I'm not satisfied because I want what you have. And I started pointing to each one of them. I said, Prabhupada told you to go to South Africa, and Prabhupada told you to go to Bangladesh, and Prabhupada told you to go to South India. You got personal instructions from Prabhupada. You received chastisement. Prabhupada trained you. Prabhupada gave you affection. There was exchanges. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be satisfied with anything less than that. I want what you have. We shouldn't be like stones in our bhakti. We should have some hankering. We should wonder, when will that day come when Krishna will come before me? And that's not even enough. But when will he put his hand on my head? Like Prahlad Maharaj. So we'll stop there. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Gopremanandi Hari Hari Bo, Dharma Prabhu. Do we have time for questions? Okay, are there any questions or comments?
Who's got a question?
Hare Krishna, nice job.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, can you repeat that sloka? And the number of that sloka you stand before starting
6th canto, chapter 11, text 26, Players of Vritrasura. 6:11:26. Yes, such a nice thing. Bhaktivinoda says we should recite this every day before a japa. I think, why do I have to do that? Well, maybe Bhaktivinoda wants me to wake up. And when I chant my japa, this should be my hankering. Thank you. Somebody else? Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. So you mentioned that Prahlad Maharaj got some special kind of bhakti that Lord put his hand on his head. But even in the earlier chapters, the symptoms of bhava have been explained in Bhagavatam. That Prahlad Maharaj was already in bhava stage. So can you please explain?
So there's different stages of bhakti. Rupa Goswami spoke about this. Sneha Man, Pranaya Rag, Anurag Bhav, Ruda Mahabhav, Adi Ruda Mahabhav, Modanakyam Bhav, Madanakyam Bhav. There's different levels. It's not all the same. Prahlad Maharaj was previously on the platform of Bhav, but when the Lord put his hand on his head, he came to the platform of Prema. It's not mentioned exactly which stage, but obviously a higher stage. And this verse in the Bhagavatam points that out clearly because he manifested ecstatic symptoms. Whereas before, in the 7th canto, we don't hear about Prahlad Maharaj manifesting like that. That's all I can say. Anything else, sister? Okay. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Vanchakalpatarubhischa, Kripasindubhye cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Madhavananda Prabhu ki.